Hello to all my booktube friends. It is about 1:30 in the morning and I am not sleeping because I work 12-hour night shifts, and so it is frequently difficult for me to sleep at night when I'm not working, as you can imagine. So I have lately been on a very heavy mood reading kick. I've just been reading completely random books, and my random read for the night is Night of the Werecat by R.L. Stine. It's part of the Ghosts of Fear Street series. R.L. Stine wrote the Goosebumps books. I was too old for the Goosebumps books by the time they came around, so I never did read them. But I saw another booktuber talking about those Goosebump books, and so I got really curious, and so I bought one, and it was called Cry of the Cat. And I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a fun read. It did read very young, but I thought it was so much fun. And so I decided to pick up some of these Fear Street books. They're a little bit older, and give those a try. And I'm about halfway through this one. And it's reading very fast. I'll finish this probably in another 30 minutes and I'll have it done. But I just thought I would try a reading vlog and just see how that went. I thought that it might be kind of fun just making random video clips about what I'm reading. So we'll see how that goes. And then in 30 minutes when I'm done with this, I'll come back on here and talk about it. Okay, so I'm finished. This was so much fun to read. It really was. So the writing was not that good. I didn't think the writing was very good at all. I didn't think it was good in the Goosebumps book that I read either. But, you know, they're written for children. It's not that big of a deal. And even though I didn't think the writing was very good, it did feel very much like you were sitting around a campfire listening to somebody tell you a spooky story. You know, that feeling? And those are always very informal stories, and a lot of times they're kind of pieced together moment by moment. So that is the feel that I had while I was reading this. Really enjoyed it. So in the opening of the book, this little girl and her friend are at a cat fair, and the girl is super into cats. She has all kinds of cat clothing and cat jewelry, and she finds this woman who is selling cat charms. And so she wants to buy this one particular cat charm that she really likes, and the woman will not sell it to her and tells her that it's dangerous and all these kinds of things. Won't sell it to her. So when the woman leaves the room, the girl takes the charm and leaves the money in place of the charm and then takes off. When she gets home, she puts on the charm, and then that night she turns into a werecat and she goes out to the neighborhood and she prowls around and she has all kinds of fun as a werecat, jumping on fences and chasing mice and all kinds of stuff. And she runs into this black werecat, and the black werecat tries to attack her. And it chases her, and she manages to get away from the werecat because it's quite a bit bigger than her. And so the second night, essentially the same thing happens. The third night, the same thing essentially. Only the third night she's at her best friend's house, and while she's there, she accidentally tears up the couch while she's in the middle of her transformation. And so the best friend's mother blames it on their house cat, and that was kind of funny. So she's out prowling around town again, and gets home, and she's just she's got to do something about this. She just can't keep on going on. She tries to get the necklace off. It won't come off. She tries wire cutters. She tries everything to get this charm off, and it's not coming off. And so she's kind of panicking. She doesn't want to be stuck as a werecat because it's dangerous. You know, this black cat keeps trying to kill her. You know, she's concerned. So, and also it scares her that she can't really control what she's doing while she's a werecat. She's afraid she's gonna be all wild and, you know, and cause trouble and stuff. So she finally finds the woman that she got the necklace from, and the woman shows her how to remove it. She takes it off and she thinks, I'm in the clear now. You know, she goes home, she gets in bed, she thinks that, all right, it's great. Well, pretty soon she starts feeling strange again, and she's like, no, this can't be happening, but it does, it happens. She turns into a werecat even without the charm on. So she goes outside, she prowls around, and when she runs into the big black cat this time, the black cat also has two other werecats with it. So now there are 3 cats, and they're just chasing her all over, trying to get her down, and they finally back her into her own yard, and they pin her down and won't let her go. She thinks they're gonna kill her, but they don't kill her. They just pin her down. And then sunrise comes, and they all 4 turn into humans at the same time. And it turns out that the other werecats are her family, her brother and her mother and her father. And her family, they're all werecats. All of her ancestors are werecats and everything. And she had no idea. And when she asked her family, she's like, well, why didn't you tell me? This could have all been avoided. And the parents tell her, well, we didn't know you were transforming into a werecat at first because nobody in our family has ever transformed this early, at this early age. And they theorized that maybe that the werecat charm was what caused her to turn into a werecat early. So anyways, yeah, it was a happy little ending there. And oh, this was so much fun. I just loved it. So I have 3 more of these Fear Street books, and I'm going to go into my book room and I'm going to get another one and read another one. So yeah, I think I'll make another video clip of the next book. Okay, so the next one I decided to read actually has 2 of the stories in one book. The 2-in-1 series is called Twice Terrifying Tales, but they're all from the Ghosts of Fear Street series. Sorry, I've had like a couple of these Mike's Hard Lemonades, and I am feeling those. So here's the cover. Again, I really like the cover. I think the cover is so cute. I just love it. There's the back. I didn't show the back of the other one, did I? So yeah, so this one, the synopsis, according to the synopsis, there's a boy named Mike, and his dad runs a museum, and his favorite piece is a suit of armor. And one night he sees some glowing eyes in the suit of armor, and it challenges him to a duel. So I guess we'll find out what this one is like. Okay, so I finished Fright Night in this book here. And I have to say I liked that even better than Night of the Werecat. I thought Night of the Werecat was a lot of fun, and it was very cute, but this one was much more exciting. There was quite a lot of action in it. In this story, we have a little boy named Mike, and his father has opened a historical museum with a lot of like spooky artifacts and displays inside of it. And he gets this suit of armor that's supposed to be haunted, and they hope it's haunted, but they don't really know for sure. Well, it turns out the suit of armor is haunted with the soul of a knight. And the knight is supposed to be evil, according to Mr. Spellman, who is a friend of the family and helps run the museum. And according to the legend, the knight puts a curse on anybody who owns the armor. So the knight comes to life a couple nights in a row, and each night Mike has to sort of fight/avoid being killed by the knight. And of course he's just a child, so he's not super successful at it, but he does manage to avoid being killed and knock out the knight temporarily. And as it turns out, Mr. Spellman is actually a wizard, an immortal wizard. And I didn't even see that coming, but I should have, because his name was Mr. Spellman. And that totally went right over my head. So as it turns out, Mr. Spellman is an evil wizard, and the knight is not evil. He's actually a good knight trying to destroy the evil wizard. And every 100 years they have to have a battle for the knight's soul. If the knight loses, he remains trapped in the armor. If he wins, then the wizard's life is put out of existence. I don't know that he was actually killed, but he was changed from a human form into the form of a snail at the end. So what happens is the wizard strikes down the knight, but the little boy Mike picks up the knight's sword, and this golden armor just magically covers him from head to toe, and he's able to defeat the wizard and cause him to transform. So I thought that was a lot of fun, and it was just super entertaining. And like I said, there was a lot of action and a lot of excitement, and it was a much better written book than Night of the Werecat. However, it still had its flaws. Like nearly every chapter ended with a cliffhanger, with this really overly dramatic cliffhanger. But then when you got to the beginning of the next chapter, the results of the cliffhanger were very anticlimactic. They just weren't that exciting at all. He was leaving you to think there was this dramatic moment coming, but then the moment wasn't actually as dramatic as what he was making it out to be. And the other thing that I thought was very strange, and I'm sure it was just done for the convenience of the storytelling, was when Mike told his dad that the suit of armor was haunted, that there was a ghost inside. The dad got very excited. He's like, oh, that's great. There's a real ghost. We'll have a whole display. We'll invite the media. And he was very excited. But Mike tried to tell him, but Dad, the ghost was trying to kill me. It was trying to kill me. And the dad was just completely and totally ignoring him, even though he was saying over and over that the ghost was trying to kill him. The dad just pretended like he wasn't saying anything. And so I was like, that's terrible. What parent would just ignore their kid saying that their life had been threatened? So very unrealistic there, but again, for the effect of the storytelling, it's fine. The book was like so much fun otherwise that I can forgive it the little flaws that it had. So yeah, but that was Fright Night. There's another one. The other story in this book is called The Ooze, but I'm not going to read it right now. I finally gotten tired, so I'm going to go ahead and go to sleep, and I'll add to this reading vlog later when I do read The Ooze. Okay, back and ready to continue my read-through of R.L. Stine's Ghosts of Fear Street series. Not all of them, of course, just the ones that I've purchased, and I may pick up some more in the future because I really have enjoyed the ones that I've read so far. And the last time, I believe that I was telling you guys about how I had read one of the Goosebumps books also, but I didn't have it on hand to show it to you, so I grabbed it so I could show you the cover. I really like the cover. I love the cat on that. So that's the one that I read. And then, so tonight I will be continuing on with The Ooze. So I'll be back to let you know what I thought of it. Okay, finished The Ooze, and I must say this is my least favorite so far. This is about a little boy who comes from a family of geniuses, and he is also a genius. His parents are both scientists, and his sister is on her way to become a scientist of some kind. And he receives a chemistry set for his birthday. He and his best friend inadvertently create an alien with this chemistry set, and the alien absorbs the intelligence of living creatures. It absorbs the intelligence of the house cat, and then it absorbs the intelligence of the little boy. So the little boy spends the book trying to figure out how to get his intelligence back, only he's not smart enough to figure it out very well. So he decides he's going to get the help of his science teacher, and he and his best friend had trapped the ooze in a cooler. So he takes the cooler to school with the intention of showing it to the science teacher. However, all of his smart science friends find the cooler and get into it and touch the ooze. They're playing with the ooze, so they all lose their intelligence as well. Hi, baby kitty. What you doing, Ninja? You want to come over here? Come on, kitty. Come on. Come on, baby. You can come over here. Ninja Kitty had to come in for a visit, right? Here, let me move this stuff. Come on. There you go. There you go. Okay, so after all of his friends lose their intelligence, then he's really panicked. But in the end, him and his best friend do figure out how to neutralize the alien. And everybody gets their intelligence back as soon as that happens. However, he did throw in a twist at the end where the two boys bury the cooler with the ooze trapped in it under the ground, thinking that that's going to lock the ooze in and keep everybody safe. But he and his sister find some orange droplets on this tree, and the boy immediately knows it's the ooze, but the sister touches it. So that's how the book ends. So it really wasn't very exciting. It wasn't my favorite plot line. And I will tell you that I do not like the writing of this R.L. Stine. Every story has the exact same writing pattern. For example, when the children in the stories hear something in another room or coming after them, it makes a particular sound effect. And he does the sound effect, and then the kids running, and then the sound effect, and the kids running, and then the sound effect of the kids running. And it's just a whole thing, and he does it. He has done it in every single book. So the other thing he does is he puts these cliffhangers at the end of every chapter that aren't actually dramatic as he makes them sound. And in two of these stories, the parents just aren't listening to the kids. Like in this one, in The Ooze, the boy is again trying to tell the parents that there's danger, that he's in danger, and they just completely ignore him, like he's not saying anything. So every story is sort of a carbon copy of itself. It's like the exact same outline, but you just fill in a different monster and a different kid. But I mean, that's okay. I mean, he probably cranked these out really fast, and they're still fun. Like I said, The Ooze was my least favorite, but the other ones I've really, really enjoyed. So the next one that I'm going to read is in this one, which also has two in it. And I shall be reading Revenge of the Shadow People. Okay, so I'm on page 21 of Revenge of the Shadow People. And I stopped to look at the publication date of this one and of that last one that I read. And they're both 1996, but while I was looking at the inside cover, I noticed that each of the stories in each of the books has a different author. So R.L. Stine didn't write these books, and my guess about this being the exact same outline, but you just plug in a different kid, a different monster, a different sound effect and include the cliffhangery chapters was correct. So that just must be the prescribed formula for any of these R.L. Stine books. That's my guess. My guest. I've really had too many of these hard lemonades. It's a little bit hard to focus on what I'm saying. But I do have, this is my last Ghost of Fear Street book, but I do have 2 like just Fear Street books, not Ghost of Fear Street. And I think those books were written for teenagers. They are a lot longer. They're about 165 pages a piece. And they have regular print and regular margins and everything. So they are short books, but they're actual books, you know, really. So I'm going to be interested in reading those 2 books to see if they both follow some kind of prescribed formula the way that these do. Okay, I had to stop again to talk about something else. So the little boy in the room starts talking about these colored spots that he sees when his mom flips on his light after he's gone to bed. When I was a little kid, I used to see tons of little tiny colored spots when my light would be turned off. Like the air would just be filled with them, and I'd see them teaming around and swirling, and I would just watch them for a very long time. I'd see them. They were just like little red spots with like a paler blue ring around the outside of them. And probably if I turned my light off and just like focused on the air, I would probably see them again now. So I thought that was so cool, because obviously whoever wrote that story probably experienced this when they were a kid, and that's why it's been included here. And then the other thing that the little boy does in this story is he keeps a flashlight in his room so that he can read late at night under his covers. Again, I did exactly the same thing. I would keep my book like in between my mattress and box springs, and I would stick a flashlight in there too. And then that way, when I'd been in bed for a little while and I didn't think that my dad was going to come back in my room, I would like pull the covers up over my head, and I would have my book and my flashlight, and I would be reading because my bedtime was 9 o'clock, but we were allowed to read until 9:30. Now, if we were going to stay up till 9:30, we had to read. Like, we couldn't do anything else. If we weren't going to read, then we just had to go to bed at 9 o'clock. Well, of course, I've always been like a huge reader. So, of course, I read. But I always felt like that 30 minutes wasn't long enough. So, I started like sneaking the flashlight in my book so that I could read in the middle of the night. That's so awesome. I just really, really enjoyed that. 2 things back to back that I myself experienced as a child were in this story. So yeah, I'm already like loving this story. Okay, finished Revenge of the Shadow People, and I loved this one. It was so much fun. So this one was about a boy who's a little older than the boys in the other stories, actually, or I should say the kids in the other stories. He's 13, and his best friend's name is Sharon. And he starts being stalked by this shadow creature who every time the shadow creature touches him, he turns cold all over, and he gets really, really tired after a few days of being stalked by this creature. So him and Sharon decide to look for it and hide when they see it, and then follow it back, try to figure out where it's living. They follow it back to this cave in the woods where they find the bodies of some other children who are like frozen in with a look of fear. What they end up figuring out was that the shadow creatures draw energy off of kids to the point where they get so tired that they are essentially frozen, and then they seal them up in this green slime stuff and bring them back to this cave. So and then all the kids turn into shadows as well. And the green slime prevents the kids from being able to get back into their bodies. So Sharon and the little boy, actually his name is Vinny, I didn't even mention that, but they end up saving all the kids and returning home. And the little twist at the end was that earlier in the story he was making a little shadow puppet of a donkey for his baby brother, and the little donkey shadow comes to life, but they don't ever see it again. And at the end of the book, they think that they've managed to destroy all the shadow creatures, but then they notice on the wall at the end that there's the shadow creature, the little donkey shadow creature, is on the wall in the room with them. This one was so much fun. It was better written than the other ones. Like, the parents were not ignoring him like they did in the other books. There was, however, a police officer or a detective that the boy was trying to report this to, and of course the police officer just pretended like or just acted like, he was making the whole thing up and didn't believe him, of course. And it didn't have as many as the cliffhangery chapter. There was a couple, but they weren't like constant. And then there was no sound effect. Like in all the other books, there was a sound effect where something was coming after the kid and there would be the sound effect. And then the kid ran or the kid listened and then the sound effect. And the kid did this and then the sound effect. And it's just like a repeat down a whole page, essentially. That was not in here. This one had lots of action in it. It was so actiony, and it was just so much fun. I just really, really well done. I loved the shadow creatures. The children just seemed a lot more believable in this one than in the other stories. So yeah, best one so far. So next time I'll read The Bugman Lives, which is the second story in this book. But for now, I'm going to go to bed because I have gotten tired and it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, I am looking forward to reading The Bugman Lives. Okay, so here I am, middle of the night again. Can't sleep. It's been a week since I read all those Ghost of Fear Street stories, because I read them like 2 nights back to back. And I've got one left called The Bugman Lives, so I'm excited to read that. I'm kind of sad it's my last one, though. I'm really enjoying the campfire feel of these stories, or the campfire story feel of these. So yeah, I'm hoping it's a really good. That last one, Revenge of the Shadow People, I just really, really liked. So I'm hoping this one, I'll like this one just as much. So I'll just get right into it and I'll come back and let you guys know how it went for me. Okay, finished with The Bugman Lives, and this one was also a lot of fun. I really liked it. I didn't like it as much as Revenge of the Shadow People, but it was also really good, and it was nicely written, and it left out the whole thing with the neglectful parents and all that stuff. So in this one, we're following Janet, who decides to get a summertime job, and she agrees to do yard work for this woman named Mrs. Lowry, who lives on Fear Street. And on her first day, she accidentally runs into a stone rather, and she realizes that she has broken the stone, and on the stone it says, "Here lies the Bugman, woe to those who disturb this tomb." And as it turns out, it's some, urban legend about this man who had lived in this house next door, who was super into bugs, and he was so into bugs that he ended up becoming an insect himself, and he supposedly died. So, and nobody has lived in the house since. So pretty soon she meets a man who says that he has moved into that empty house next door, and she agrees to do yard work for him as well. And then she meets this girl named Willow at the swimming pool, and they become really good friends. Well, every time she works for Mr. Cooney, that's the name of the guy who moved into the empty house next door. Every time she works for him, he gives her a glass of juice. And pretty soon she starts exhibiting strange symptoms, like she has like a scab that is very strange and it won't go away, and it just keeps getting bigger. And she gets really sick for a little while. And she finally realizes that Mr. Cooney is actually the Bugman. And when she tries to confront him, he finds out that Willow is his daughter. And the reason he's trying to turn her into a bug is so that she can be friends with Willow forever. And so she escapes from the house, and then it switches to an epilogue. Like the story just kind of ends there, and then it switches to an epilogue. And in the epilogue, Janet is at the swimming pool reading this as if it were a story that she has written to a friend of hers. So you're thinking, okay, well, this was a story that she had written. And then the ending of her story, nobody ever hears from the Bugman or Willow again. And then when she's walking home from the pool, a butterfly comes and like lands on her shoulder, and she starts talking to it like it's a person. And then she climbs up this tree, and when she goes to climb up this tree, there's some green goop on her hands that helps her stick to the tree as she's climbing. And then once she's up in the tree, she tells the butterfly, "You are right, Willow. There are some awesome things about being a bug." So I guess the implication is that the story was true that we read, and that she was at least partially turned into a bug, and that her and Willow are still friends. So yeah, that was really, really cute. I really enjoyed that. In fact, I really enjoyed doing this whole Ghost of Fear Street reading vlog. That was a lot of fun. I may do this again in the future with like a different set of books, or maybe just with whatever books I'm reading, anthologies or something like that. I don't know, but I had a lot of fun doing this, and I hope you guys like this video too.